Hi, welcome to Getting Started in Beekeeping. This tape is specifically designed for amateur beekeepers who have little or no knowledge of beekeeping. From start to finish, we're going to teach you how to handle a hive, how to open a hive, how to seed the hive grow. We're going to go through all the equipment so that you've got a better understanding and what you need to get started. Okay, so we've got here a pile of stuff which is a hive, but it doesn't mean a great deal, so we're going to assemble it all and explain the bits and pieces as we go. This is a hive stand, and if you notice it's got a box sort of shape. It's just my preferred method. We make it out of pressure treated lumber so that when it drops on the ground and it sits there like that, it's not going to rot from underneath. Alright, so the hive will be a lot more secure. Now, this is a floor, and notice it's plywood and fairly light. It has an entrance block. We like to take it out for the summer, put this in for spring and fall, and then if you really want to do it in the winter, you can turn that over and you have a nice tight little entrance for the winter. So we'll think in terms of spring and summer, spring and fall rather, and that's that situation, and that fits down over the top. Now, then on top of that goes, we refer to them as a deep box or a deep super or a brood box. I prefer brood box. That fits down over the top of that. So this is a deep brood box, and it normally has frames which fit right across the hive, 11 in total. But we've only brought 2 down for clarity. So there's an empty frame, no wax, just an empty space. And that's the sort of basic thing. Then we add to that a sheet of foundation, as it's called. Now this is in actual fact a sheet of wax which has on both sides embossed within it the size of the worker cell. This is a worker brood. And then we have the wire that goes through the whole frame. That's so that if you inadvertently do this with it, the whole center doesn't drop out. And so we have these frames, they fit within the box, as I said, right across 11 frame. So carrying on, here we have here, it's referred to as a queen extruder. You should be able to see the slots, I think. And those slots are designed for the right size to allow worker bees to come through. Now that fits down, and we follow the slots so that there are right angles to the frame, gives it the most amount of space, and that fits down and drops on the top. And then on top of that we have a honey super. Now they call them honey supers, they call them shallows. I prefer the term shallow because it tells me that this is 6 5/8 as against the other hive which is 9 1/2. It has 11 frames, the same as we supply them. There's the empty one again. We supply the foundation that goes in them, that's this stuff, and we prefer to run these with drone foundation. Now drone foundation does extract a lot faster. It has a lot of advantages, especially for amateur beekeepers. And so those 2 frames fit in, and then of course the whole box has got 11. Now the other thing also that people are unaware of is what we refer to as bee space. Now 2 frames like that together side by side produces 2 bee spaces, because you see and we'll show this later when we get into the full hive, when this is fully drawn out, it allows 1 bee space on this side before you hit the other frame on the other. So you've got 2 bee spaces there, so you can have bees working back to back, one on one frame and one on the other. That's the whole idea of it, and that's how the bees prefer it. Okay, carrying right along, this is an inner cover. It's the one that fits underneath the roof, in the roof, inner cover. We arrange them so they have a top entrance for winter, and again you see those when we do the other hives. We allow screening on the top, ventilation, so that it allows the heat and the humidity come through. So that's the inner cover. Now on top of that goes the vent box, which is part of the ventilation system. It allows the heat to run and then to dissipate, swell out and dissipate through the roof, which is next. And then on top of there we need some black tar paper, and that's the hive then complete. But while we're this far in, I might as well show you something else which we find some people have difficulty understanding. This is in the summer position with the holes in that position there, but for spring and fall we can just literally do this with it. Then we place the roof on the top of that, and now you notice the holes have disappeared and the ventilation is cut down quite considerably. Okay, so let's have a look at some equipment now. Now, one of the things that I always recommend amateur beekeepers to wear is a pair of gloves. And I'll be honest, you know, after 50 years of beekeeping, it still hurts when you get stung. There's no magic formula for it. It doesn't toughen your skin up and stop it stinging, so it still hurts. So I recommend a pair of gloves. I invariably wear a pair of gloves if the weather's, you know, if the bees are anything like a little bit snotty. And so buy yourself a good pair. Look, these are made to fit a hand size, and there's none of this fold them over the top business with one size fits all. And they come up the arm a little bit and help prevent the bees getting stinging you through this bit, because that bit really hurts as well. So okay, there's a pair of gloves, and I do recommend you wear them. And the other thing you need is a suit. Now, many years ago I had a friend of mine who lost an eye to a bee sting, and I've always worn a veil, and I always advise other people to wear a veil. Forget this macho business, it's not worth the damage that you're going to suffer. So you can buy these in a vest veil type thing that just goes as far as it is and leaves your arms all bare. You can buy a jacket which zips up through the middle, and you can buy, as this one is, a full suit. And I like nylon. It's very light and very easy to wear. It's not too much of a problem. Zip down through the middle, and the beauty with it is that the hood is down here, look, and this is likely to make a noise because of where I'm wearing the microphone, so bear with it. There we go. Very easy, simple to wear. Pull the front out. Now you've got lots of vision left and right, and you've got an unobstructed look this way. So take my advice, always wear a veil. Don't open a hive, don't go near the bees if you can avoid it without wearing a veil, unless you really know your bees and know what you're doing. Okay, continuing right along with equipment. The next step, of course, is smokers. Okay, so this is a smoker, has bellows on the back, firebox. This one is made complete with a guard that fits around it so that you can't burn yourself too easily. And they open them up. My usual method is to light up 2 or 3 pieces of newspaper, rumple them up and scrumple them up, light them as they go in the box, like that, lit with a match. And then this is, people often say, well, what do I use in a smoker? Well, all this is corrugated cardboard rolled up very tight. This is a half size one, because sometimes you don't need a full one unless you're only going to deal with one small hive, so you could do just a half one. And then you light the fire, this goes in, goes down, and then the lid goes on the top, and as you put the lid on and you gently puff the smoke, so you start getting smoke from this area here. Yeah, so that's one smoker we like. Now the other one that is my all-time favorite has to be this one. Now this is copper, and for those who have a metallurgical bent, copper doesn't dissipate. You can't blow bits of particles off like you can with steel, and so this smoker is going to be as good today, it'll be as good when you finish with it as it is today, apart from looking a little scruffy maybe. But you'll be able to hand this on to the grandchildren, because it will not burn through, which is a favourite trick. They burn through here and you can literally poke your finger in them. So that's the copper smoker. The other thing that you will need will be a hive tool. This is one that I particularly like. It's extremely well made, stainless steel, very wide blade and very sharp, nicely ground on this end, and with a bent grinder, so you could actually do a scraping motion here to keep the tops of your bars clean. That's that one. And then the other one I like particularly is this one. This again is stainless steel, but it's nice and thin, as a very easy hook, so that if you want to get into the Langstroth hive, you can just hook the frames out and use it as a lifter. And it's thin enough to actually hold in your fingers while you're handling frames. Okay, we've put the hive together. Here it is, and you'll notice it's all nicely painted. We've got a fancy front, nicely painted a lighting board so the bees can key back to this particular hive and not that one next door. There's a hive stand, there's a floor, there's one deep box. We don't really need more than one. Don't be tempted to put the shallows on or whatever at this time. Inner cover vent box and a roof. And so we're going to go in and have a look. The bees have been in here now 24 hours, and you'll notice that we have a feeder jar. Now, feeder jars are vital if the bees are drawing foundation, and I'll show you that in just a second. Now, this is sugar syrup. It was full when we started. It's gone right down here in less than 24 hours. So they're consuming this and using it. Now, sugar syrup 1 to 1, 1 part sugar, 1 part water. Pour boiling water over the sugar and allow it to dissolve, and then it fits in this jar, and any old jar will do. And we drill 16th holes, 16th drilled holes in the lid to coincide with the hole in the top of the inner cover, and there you can see 2 bees sucking up the syrup. So now we're going to flip them guys off because we don't want to squish them, and we'll put that down there, and then we'll very carefully take the inner cover off. Now you'll notice that I have no smoke and I have no gloves. Now, because I happen to know these bees. Now, I don't recommend you try this until you get to know your bees, but don't use smoke unnecessarily because it does disturb the bees too much. In this method, we don't have to disturb the bees and they can get on with their work. Now, you'll notice lots of nice new frames, 3 on the back here, 3 on the front. This was a 5-frame nuke, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when we put it in, we put them in on foundation, which is this stuff. Now, we've already discussed this once, and I'd like to show you a little bit more in detail. I'll hold it here so the camera can get on it. Now you can see it's flat. Yes, there's no depth to it, and because the bees haven't started working on this bit yet. And you see, once they start, then I'll show you some depth in just a second. So let's put this one off to one side, and we will take out one of the full frames, one of the ones that they've been working on for some time, first, to show you the depth that these frames get to. Now, here's one that's about a week old. This frame was nothing on it when it started. The bees have drawn it all out, and you can see there's 2 things here you can look for. One is this is honey, sealed stores. Underneath each of that white capping is a cell full of honey. This here is brood. Now, the queen's been on there, she's laid herself up, look all the way through here, because you can see where there's no honey, it will be all brood. So this is all brood here, and they haven't got round to capping it all over. In fact, if you look carefully, you can actually see bees still feeding the larvae in the bottom of the cell. Once it's capped over, that's the colour, as against the colour of honey, which is here. Okay, so we're going to put this one back, and we're going to start right at the back of the box, because I'd like to show you how it works. You see the depth though, that's what I was trying to get across. You see how wide this now is? And that's because the bees have drawn out that foundation. Now, that's where the expression comes from, to draw out foundation. Let's have a look. Now, here's one that they've had, again, about 24 hours. It was a sheet flat like the one we showed you. But you can see already the bees they're pulling it out. They literally pull it out. They don't add too much wax to it. Most of it's already in the frame. They do add some, but not a great deal, but they draw that out, and that's where the expression comes from. Just out of interest, I had a friend once who put some bright red foundation in the hive, and he tells me that it got almost to the caps before the redness disappeared. So it shows you they draw it out. And so there's a frame of foundation, and they're working on both sides, fortunately. And so now what we want to see is mother laying some eggs in here. Now we'll go on a little further. Here's a frame which is got what we got in here. Now this has got eggs, That frame is all eggs, and they're too tiny. I can't show them to you on camera. You'll have to wait until you get your own hive and then you can find them. Look like little tiny white exclamation marks sitting on the bottom of the cell. And then as the bees feed them, this is the one we just looked at, so we'll leave that one. And here's the other one. Now this is the other one I'd like to show you. You see how big this brood gets. Look, it's way up over here, right round over there. There's brood cappings again. So this little nuke is doing extremely well, because the other side of the frame is the same, look. And it's going to expand quite rapidly, especially when these new bees start to emerge. Now here's a frame of older brood. This stuff is the color that tells me it's about to emerge. Now what I would like you to show at this particular state of the hive is the state of this frame. It's flat. Yeah, this is all worker. This queen is doing a good job. This is all worker brood. There is no odd raised cap, and I'll show you one in a minute that tells you that she's not doing a good job and she needs replacing because the queen wasn't mating properly. What we've got on this side again looks solid, flat. Now I've got a frame in here I'd like to show you, because this is the one that has drone brood in it. Now all hives need drones. You can't get rid of them, and don't try. You're wasting your time, because also a healthy hive needs drones to be able to do its job. Now here's worker, this area here. Now that's flat again. You see all that's all flat, and then here right alongside it, this is drone. These ones with the big caps are drones, but there's only a very small amount of them when you see the volume of brood that we've got. So this is deliberate. She's not a drone layer, and we have got a frame of a drone layer which I'll show you later coming out of another hive. But this one now here, we're looking down through here, I don't know where the camera is, but here we're actually beginning to see little ragged ends which tell me that the bees are starting to emerge from here. And when I start looking around, I find the odd little young bee, which is a very good sign. Okay, I'm going to put that down, and let's look at that last one on the front, and then we'll show you some of the strains of bees. Okay, here's another one. This is the front of the nest. They've already started drawing that side out, and now they're having a go at this side. And you can see these are the wax makers. They're going to start making us more comb. Okay, so I'm going to put that away, and then I think what we should do is find some strains of bees that you can have a look at and see how things happen. You'll notice I've got no smoke and I've got no gloves on, and with these little hives there's really no need for it, but as the hive gets bigger then you might find that you need a little bit of smoke, but we'll show you how to work that. Okay, let's just change the camera angle just to make it easy for you to see. Now what I would like to show you, these are workers. Now worker bees, I think there's one drone there, that's about all. These are worker bees, and you can see them all in here, look, and these are the wax makers. These are the guys who are actually drawing this comb out. And now worker bees, 80 approximately in a full-size hive, over 80,000 of them, and they don't sting just for the sake of stinging. Look, I mean, I can wave my hand over the top of these guys and they're not interested. So there's workers. Now the other castes are not strain, as I put earlier. The caste of bees, there's a queen, there's workers, and there's drones, and we're going to show you all of them. So these are workers, yeah, all of those except for one drone there. Now we're going to go back in there, and we're going to go to this one and see if we can find a frame which has got drones on, and usually they're towards the outer edges of the brood nest, towards the top of the hive, towards the outer edges. Now here's lots of drones. Now let's see if we can get the camera. There's my finger, there's a drone. You have to follow me around. You see, if you look at him carefully, he's got big eyes. His tail is cut off short, square at the back, very hairy around the back of the abdomen, and they are bigger than workers. And you can see the two there to your side by side. They are much bigger. His sole purpose in life is to mate with the queen. That's all he does. A very nice existence, I would think, except come September, or when it starts to get cold, the bees chuck them out the hive. So it's not such a good existence after all, I don't think. So there we go, that's drones. Now we're going to see if we can find the queen. Now that might take us a minute. Okay, here she is, look. Here's the queen. And provided the camera can follow me, we'll do fine. There she is. You can see she's got a much longer abdomen. And we're going to try and turn her around a bit. Here she is, look, still wandering around. Yeah, she's looking for somewhere to lay. That's her main aim in life. So there she goes, look. You see, here. I'll keep my finger on a little bit longer. Put the inner cover back on. And as I said, you'll notice there's no smoke. I haven't been stung. The bees haven't chased me. And it's a pretty good hive. See that? Stops the gush. Produces a vacuum in the top. And now when we put this back on the top of the hive, we don't get a gush of liquid back inside it. So there we go. We're finished. Now we're going to come back in 10 days. And we're going to have a look through the hive again. Now, why 10 days? Well, we have to try and prevent swarming. We have to get in the habit of a 10-day examination because if an egg is laid today, it will take 10 days before they can make a cell. Now, if they're going to make cells, there's something wrong. We should know about it. So we're going to look at it in 10 days. We're going to look for eggs. If we get eggs, then we're happy again. But by then we'll see what they're doing on all these drawn ones at the back. Okay, during the course of these tapes we've talked about drone layers and the effects, and I'm going to show you now what will happen, what a drone layer does, because this is a hive that I found the other day. We put a queen in it earlier in the week, or a couple of weeks ago, and this was early season when mating was suspect, and this is what you get. Look, see, now this queen was in here for a little while. There's all sorts of brood, but look at the volume of drones. You can see all the cells are all standing up all over the whole frame. There's virtually no worker in here at all, so this hive is going to have a major problem. Now on top of that, they have made a queen, which is there. See that queen cell? And then we've got another started one here and another started one here. There's nothing in that one, I don't think, no. So, actually there's one small egg in the bottom. So we're going to now have a problem. We have to decide what to do. This hive has got quite a lot of bees in it, it's got quite a lot of stores in it. It will be a shame to see it go to waste. There's the other side, look. And it really is a shame when this happens, but try as we may, we get the odd queens that don't mate properly, and this is the effect of it. Now, okay, I promised to earlier to show you how to light a smoker, and I know it sounds simple, but you'll be amazed how many people have all sorts of problems with it and don't really understand it. So let's show you. First of all, here we have a smoker. We need a few pieces of cut newspaper, and we also need that, which is a roll of corrugated cardboard, rolled very tight, held at the top, not at the bottom, held at the top with masking tape. That's to stop it when it starts to burn. If it burns through the tape very quickly, it unrolls, and then of course it's not going to burn properly. So mark it at the top. You can do half units, you don't need a full one if you're only going to do one hive or a little job. And all we do is light the paper and drop it in. And we need about 3 or 4 to get a little bit of a flame going down the bottom there. And don't be in a hurry with it, that's the secret I find. Now we pop this on the top. Don't push it down hard. And gently, 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 because you just burning the paper at the moment. Paper, burn it a little bit at a time, pushing it down very gently. And a little bit more smoke. Now, just about going well there now. Goodness, look at that. Okay, so we can push it down all the way, close the lid, and there's your smoker lid. Oh. Very simple, and it works every time. So there you go. It's 10 days since we had a look in here on the camera, and I will be honest, I was in here yesterday and had a look, and because I've deliberately done this so you can see the difference between this hive and another hive which we have down there, which the hive down there we've done frame manipulation on, this one we haven't. So this is still the original 10-day configuration that we looked at, and I think we'll show you what's going on. So here's the 3 frames that we noticed at the back, which were foundation, and there's the 3 at the front. So take this one out first, and we'll always start drawing them out at the back. You'll find out later when you start doing these that when you drag one out of here like this, you'll roll the bees, and the danger is there that A, you get them angry, but secondly you'll damage the queen, so we don't want to do that. So we get in the habit of taking one out the back and then drawing this into the hole. See? Now you can lift that out quite plainly without any problems. Now, this is the frame, the extent of the foundation, and you'll see here there's another great deal of difference between what there was 10 days ago and now. The queen hasn't laid in here, so there's been no expansion of the brood nest. There is some honey gone into here, and the bees are in fact keeping that center clean. They're not putting honey in it, but the hive hasn't grown. The queen hasn't made any more eggs than she was before, and the problem here is that until the bees get to a certain far distance outside, the queen won't jump on this frame and start to lay in it. Now, on the other one, what we've done is we have taken this frame out of here and we have inserted it into here, and instantly the queen starts to lay on it. So while we're here, we'll have a look through anyway, and then before we leave we'll put this frame in the middle. I'll explain what we're doing. So here's the frame that was all brood before. That was young brood, if I remember rightly. Now look at it, starting to look a little older, and very soon this will start to emerge. Now if you're, I don't know how close the camera can get, but on this frame there are a lot of young bees, signified by the grey look about them. So the hive is expanding, but it is not growing outwards as fast as it should. So let's put this one back in, and we'll have a look. The other side is still all brood, but you see how they are now expanding. And if you can see that from here, there is a concave into here, look. This honey is too wide. It should be only as wide as that brood. So this is because this other frame wasn't worked on. So that is going to cause us some problems, possibly at a later date. We'll see. Now here we have, let's see what we've got. There's another brood frame, and again you can see the difference now in the colour from when we were first in here. And here's the other side of it, and you can see it's starting to get darker as the bees are running on it. We'll put this one back and we'll keep on going through the hive. Now this is still being fed. Every day the jar's put on, it's filled up and put back on. Now there's Queenie, and you can see she's now starting to fill this in. Probably if we had a look in here we'd probably find lots of eggs. Yep. So as this brood is emerging, so the queen here is laying more eggs to fill it back in again. So now we have to be a little careful putting this one back. let's see what we've got further forward. Now that one, when we were in here last, was all brood. It was solid. Now it's all emerged. That's where all those young bees have come from. And if we look into there, we'll see more eggs. So the queen's doing a good job, just that the bees haven't got past the constraints of that foundation on the end. So that's all emerged. That's about 2,000 bees on either side, so that's another 4,000 bees in this hive since we came in here last. And here's another one. All the bees are emerging. I can see the odd little ragged cap, especially in this area. Okay, so we'll put that one back. And now here's the other foundation one, look. You see, now they really haven't done anything with the other side of it at all. A little bit up here maybe, but basically they haven't done a great deal with it since we were in here last. So now we're going to cheat. Now we're going to force them to work. So we're going to turn this one round first of all and put that one back where it lives. And then what we're going to do is to take this one at the back. Now this is called frame manipulation, and it's something you should really watch for. We're going to take this frame here. This is the one that's nearly all worked on, which is waiting for the queen to get into there, and we're going to put it right in here. Yeah, right in the middle. Now we know that there's brood on that one and there's brood on this one. So suddenly we've opened up the brood nest and made a bit more space, and we're forcing the bees to work a little bit faster. So what I'm going to do now is close this hive up, and I'm going to take you to one where we've already done that manipulation, and you'll see how far advanced that one is in relation to this one, because they were both started on the same day. Okay, now this is the other hive that was further down the row. This started on exactly the same date as the other one, but this one I've done my usual tricks of frame manipulation and moving things around. And first thing you notice is that the bees are out to this edge here and this edge here, look. So already they're almost out to the outer edges. Yeah, so let's go in and have a look. First of all, take the back one out, and you'll notice that already they started drawing out that look. So that's the outer frame. That one was still 2 frames and it was still foundation. Now here's the next one in. Let's see what we got in here. Now this is all honey. This is a honey store, and this is quite normal because they thought it was the last frame out. Yes, now we'll go one more. What we got here. And that's all brood, solid brood. Now here's something interesting you can see. Down the bottom here, look, this is referred to as ladder comb. See, the end of the frame is here. They build these little bits hanging down so that you can get up off the floor a little bit easier. You don't have to stretch so high. Now under normal circumstances that doesn't cause a problem, only if you reverse boxes. If you reverse boxes, then this gets squished and forms a problem between the 2 boxes. This is starting to emerge, look. We've got young bees here. This is all emerging brood. Nice hive, doing well. Okay, let's put this one back. Same on the other side, lots of brood, lots of eggs. Now the thing about this, of course, is to try and show you how hives grow. And if you don't assist them, don't help them, they will tend to almost stagnate. There's another frame, all brood. Look at this. Now this is a quality queen. You've got the odd little one, but that's full of honey. Odd hole, basically all a solid slab of brood. That's what we're looking for. You don't want to see these raised caps signifying a drone layer. If you get that, that queen wants changing very rapidly. Same again here, same again there. This hive is doing extremely well for its first, considering it started off as a 3-frame nuke just a few weeks ago. This is all brood. Now here's the interesting thing. This is the frame I've made particular note of, and it's marked actually. This is the one I brought from the back a few days ago. I've moved it up into the middle, and look what's happened. This is all brood, and this is all brand new. A lot of open brood up in here, and this is all newly capped. and she's gone from there to there. Looks solid brood right the way through. So this is a frame that was used by frame manipulation. We've now laid up, in this particular case, another 4,000 bees approximately, and when they emerge, this hive will go boom. So that's, we're using frame manipulation. Let's have a look at this one. Now this one was a frame I brought from over there this way, and I brought it up 2 days ago, and this was solid foundation, and already look, it's all drawn out. Not out fully, but it's coming out pretty good, and it won't be long before mother's sticking her bottom in there. In fact, she already is. I can see eggs in the bottom of those. Not easy to see white on these small frames, but she's definitely laid that one up. Now that was only 2 days ago. There's eggs on that side, eggs on this side. Ha, good, excellent. And what we got in this one? This one's the same. It's all brood. Brood again, look. Honey on the top, see around the top caps. This is going to be one big hive. There's another frame. All brood again, all brood again. Now, let's see what these last two are on the back here. That one's all honey and lots of pollen. If you look in here, you'll see in this area, you can see this off colour. Looks funny, looks dirty brown, as if there's something sort of festering in there, but it isn't in actual fact. That is pollen, a very valuable resource. Don't get rid of it whatever you do. And pollen and honey, they use to make bee bread, and that's what is fed to the larvae. Okay, so that's that one, and I think finally we have one more frame out there, which is nearly all foundation. Now, it does go to show that manipulating the hive works. This hive is a lot bigger than the one that's up the road. So, take my advice, learn how to do this. Now, my book says don't do it, but I do it as a matter of course, and you can see it works for me. Okay, earlier in this tape, we showed you how to light a smoker, and I promised to show you the smokers, I hate them. Oh, put it down there. And I promised to show you and explain what smoking is all about. There is a thinking that when you smoke a hive, that the hive then thinks there's a forest fire coming and it's got to load up with honey, and so therefore it goes rushing to open cells. But there are certain times of the year when that doesn't work, and there are certain times when you don't need to smoke the whole hive. Now, let's see if I can start from the beginning. If I was going to open this box here, only that box there, and I'm taking honey, I wouldn't bother to smoke the entrance, because I would come and stand at the back here, take the lid off and a few puffs across the top and wait a few seconds, and then open this box up and have a look. And I would subdue the bees in here rather than the whole hive, because if I'm going to smoke down here at the entrance, I'm going to subdue the whole hive. The whole hive is going to be in uproar, trying to get at cells which are open so they can fill their honey sacs with honey ready for the flight. So people say, well, I shouldn't smoke the hive and I shouldn't go into the hive during the summer, and this is the reason why. Every time you smoke down there, you disturb the hive. But if you only smoke this little bit up here to check on what they're doing with the honey supers, then it doesn't disturb the hive as much. So now it allows you to open the hive up more frequently, even when there's a honey flow on, because all you're going to interrupt is this box here, not the subsequent boxes all the way down to the bottom. Because standing at the back and smoking the back, these bees don't even know you're around. But if I'm about to open up a full hive, if I get down here very close to the bees and have a look, I will see bees whose main job in life is a guard bee. That's what he does for a living. And if you stand and watch here at the entrance, you can see bees that are touching other bees as they come in. And what they're trying to do is to establish their authenticity, make sure that they're from this hive and not the hive down the road, and then no robbers trying to get in and rob the honey away. So you'll see these guard bees. Now, if I'm going to open this hive up here, these boxes, I have to do something with those guard bees, because if I don't, those are the ones who are going to see me coming and they're going to be after me. So what I do there is a quick little puff across the entrance, and you watch, in a few seconds all those guard bees are gone. They're all inside the hive. They've all gone to fill up the honey sacs because they're the first warning, and they're telling their buddies that, hey guys, we better fill up. So now you've interrupted the whole hive, and that's not a good thing to do. Now the other thing I also see is people who go to the hive and they give one blast of smoke straight in the entrance. Now what they do there, it's smoke at the entrance like that, they drive the bees sideways. So now each end of each box or each frame is covered with bees. I hate those things. So now the bees are all on the side frames, and that's not doing any good. So what I do in fact is to smoke one across the entrance, give one in the side and one in the side. Now it confused the bees. They're going to be all over the frames instead of all on the ends. So that's smoking. Don't smoke the entrance unless you're going to go into these lower boxes. Only smoke this box up the top here, and then only a little bit on the back, because under normal circumstances you don't need to go down here during the summer. So that's smoking. Okay, we've got here a one box hive. It was a 3-frame nuke, and it started and it's growing, and now it's about time we put a second box on. And here's the signs you can tell. You see this is wax. They're actually building on the inner cover because they're trying to come up, and they can't go up anymore because of the inner cover. So we're going to get rid of that, and then we're going to give them another box, and we're going to give them on 2 boxes. Now one of the problems, you can't just walk up with a box full of foundation and drop it on the top. It won't work because the bees don't see it, and they won't come up readily. Now what we're going to do is to take this hive apart gently, and this is new foundation that they had earlier in the year. It's now drawn out. It's nearly all capped over, and but the odd thing of course on these little hives is they never seem to work on the other side. Look, that's the outer box. So we're going to change that when we put it back together again. So I'm just going to have a quick look, see what they're doing, because oh jingo, they're sticking things together real well. And want to make sure we've got brood, which we have. And here's a problem we have to do something with. We've discussed ladder comb in the past, and now what we're about to do is to put frames on top of other frames. And if you look here, you'll see the problem with that. See, this is ladder comb here, and if we don't knock this stuff off, it means that when we put this frame in another box on top of that frame, then you're going to squish it all down, and it's going to be an absolute mess. So we're about to correct that by taking off that ladder comb, and make sure the hive is nice and clean before we interspace it. Now there's some more of it, you see, and it's a problem if you don't do something with it. So it's only on this first, putting on this second box. If you take frames out of the bottom box, bring them up, then you'll get this problem. So we have to just knock this all off. It's a very, very hot day, so that wax is super thin, super soft. That looks pretty good. See, keep on going. Now look at that for a pattern. It's not bad at all. Now, be very careful as you work your way through. Now that was foundation a few days ago. It's now all brood, all eggs, all the stuff that we want to see. But there is a little bit of ladder comb just there, not much. So I think I'm going to put you on hold, because this is wasted camera time. Now there's another one that they've sealed off. Okay, so I'm going to put you on hold for a few minutes, and then when I've finished looking through this, you can come back and we'll have another proper look. Okay, so I've been through there, I've removed all the ladder comb, and what we're going to do is we're going to interspace this new box with some of these frames from in here. And So what we're looking for is, we want to work in the middle of this new box. You've got a couple of frames here that we use, but those go on the outside edges. And what we need to go into here is some sealed brood. And there's one, look, that's got a lot of opening there, so we won't go that one. We'll go maybe this one. There's sealed brood, and that's going to go in the middle. And now what we've got is sealed brood foundation, and then this one here I think is all sealed brood again. Yes, it is, look at that, beautiful stuff. So that's going to go in there. I want to work fairly quickly, folks, because it's really a stinker of a day today. It's really hot, muggy, the bees aren't in a very good mood at all. And okay, we're going to go one more. Let's go for one of these white ones here. This one here maybe. Yep, there we go again, all sealed again. So we're going to put that one in, and we'll put that one in here. Now you notice we haven't put two foundations together. They are all, even though they don't look it because they're nice and white, they are all interspaced. So you've got sealed, new one, sealed, foundation, old comb, foundation, all the way across the box. Now what we do have to do is replace this one. And one of the problems in this is we don't want to put, especially with this heat, don't put foundation in the middle. We want to put foundation towards the outer edges because there it's a bit cooler. So what we're going to try and do here is to move this along. We're going to put this one in there and push that one up to it, and then we're going to put one more in here and push this one up to it. Now we're getting to be that we're getting towards the middle again. So what we're going to do is push this one over. That's sealed, and so is this one, and so is this one. And we'll put, oops, oh boy, oh, why away those things. Probably stopped myself getting stung. That goes in there, and we'll go this one up one more, and then this foundation will go on the outer edge. Now what we're going to have to do is to watch this one and make sure we can turn it round as they draw it out. So that's going to go into there, and then we're going to put the cover cloth back on these guys to help settle them down a little bit. And there we go, that's the second box done. Now they'll come up very quickly into there, jump on it and get cracking. So now we'll see if these have gone down, almost, and then we'll have to lift this over carefully. Oh boy, there's an awful lot of bees hanging down. I think we're going to have to put, here's a trick for you. If you find bees hanging down underneath these boxes, put a bit of smoke underneath the bottom. You see how this thing is across kitty corner? You can blow smoke in the corners, then it comes up and drives the bees up into the box rather than having them all hanging down. Now if we did that long enough, you see all sorts of bees coming up here. Don't like using a lot of smoke, but sometimes you have to do it for the bees' benefit, because these bees are, today it's hot and they're running, don't know what to do with themselves. There we go. So pop that one back into there, and be very careful that we get everything square again. So there we go. Now what we're going to do is to put these guys down a minute, let them settle, because I've got something else I want to show you. I'm hoping they'll settle down. When it's a hot day like this, they tend to run all over the place, and they're all over the vent box here, look. So when they're fanning away like crazy, so we're just going to knock them off. Go on girls, off you go. Knock them off in front of the hive and they'll go and move back in. But everybody's fanning away like crazy. Anybody thinks it's the end of the world. Now this is the other thing I want to show you. Lots of beekeepers start thinking at this stage about honey. So they walk up to the hive and they get a queen excluder, which they then drop on the top, and then they take a shallow, which is all foundation, and they drop this on the top again. And the total waste of time, because you see the bees don't recognize this as being comb, so they don't fight their way through that queen excluder, and it is a bit of a struggle and they have to teach them how to do it. So this thing goes to waste. The queen excluder gets filled up with propolis and stuff, and you've totally wasted your time. So now here's the way to do it. You take that queen excluder off and put this straight on the top, and you wait for probably 4 or 5 days till the bees have all come through naturally. And I'm not going to do it now because I don't want it on. They'll come through naturally, they'll start to work the foundation out, and once you've got a lot of bees up here working and pulling wax, then is the time to introduce the queen excluder, because now the bees will stay up and they will continue to work. And if mother gets up and starts laying a few eggs, never mind, as long as we get her back down again when we put the queen excluder on, it won't come to any harm. So there you go, that's supering, that's double boxing and honey supering all at the same time. Now these guys are obviously disturbed with what we've done, because they're in there and you can hear them fanning away like crazy. So okay, well, we'll clear the unit cover up, put them all back together, and if we have time we'll come and have another look at another day to see how they're doing. So all you need to do is take your hive tool, scrape this off, don't put it back on, otherwise it squishes it down and makes a real mess. And so there we go, that's double boxing and supering in one single lesson. Okay, now the final act of getting started is to show you how to use cover cloths. You've seen us working them, but we haven't described it in detail. See, we notice we've still got sugar on, and the bees are still taking it down. I only filled that yesterday. So they're still making lots of wax, because the hive is still not fully completed. So we're going to have a look down and go into the bottom, because I haven't been in there for a while, and we'll see what they're doing. Oh, and they're really doing. Goodness me, are they ever doing? Alright, so we're going to put a cover cloth on, because I want to keep the bees under control. You notice I've got gloves on today, because it's humid and sticky and wet, and the bees aren't in a very good mood. So we're going to put the cover cloth on and start. Now the idea is you roll them up from the back, look, and then we can take these back frames out without too much problem once we get the first one out. Goodness, they're sticking them down well. There we go. Now you'll notice we didn't roll any bees. That's the important thing with this. And we've still got lots of brood. Look, there's the honey crown, lots of brood on there. They're right to the back box. Now that's a little unusual. Yeah, look, she's back on here as well, right onto the back frame. Right, so we'll put that off to one side, and then we'll take another one and have a look, and we pull that one towards us, pull it up into the space, pull it up so we don't roll bees. And here we go again. Look at the brood, just look at this. This is absolutely incredible. And when this lot emerges, boom, tons of bees. And there's the same on the other side. Look at that, incredible. Okay, let's keep going. Put that one into the back. Now pull this one away from the one in front and up through the hole, and there we go again. Now lots and lots of brood. Look at it, goodness me, this hive's doing incredibly well, just fabulous. Give them a few days and there'll be bees everywhere. Might even get a bit of surplus honey off them if we've got some supers to put on them. So up we go again, and now that's full of eggs, which tells me that Queen is around and doing her job. which is a good sign, and this is one of the things you should go looking for every time you open a hive. You don't really need to go through every frame being nosy. Now we're getting a little bit further out there, so what we'll do is we'll put the other cover cloth on just to keep these bees under control. And we start at the back, look, put this one in, roll it to there. Now all we've done, look, is to keep these bees down into that little hole. There is no need to see bees over here because we will get there eventually. Now pull this one out towards me. Yes, pull it into that hole, look, space it, pull it up, and again it's full of brood, full of eggs. Queen is doing a fantastic job. She really is. So now go to the next one, pull it out, pull it up. There we go, and again the same thing. Fantastic. So now, and all we do is keep on rolling this across, look. Roll them back. Now these are European, these are not North American, so it's a little unusual to see them and people look at me as if I'm slightly doolally. But they do work very well and they keep the bees under control. Minimum smoke or no smoke at all, because the bees don't get riled up by the wind blowing across them or the sun shining in their face. And things are nice. Look at this, look. Okay, so I'm not going to go any further. I found what I was looking for, the queen's laying eggs, which is what I wanted to know. So we're going to return this hive now. Excuse me, all we do is pick them up and push them forward, and at the same time we roll this back. Now you'll see in a minute what's so important about these when we come to put the other box back on the top. Now pull that one across again, and I think we can almost dispense with it now. Yes, we can. So put that one back, put this one back on the front, and if you can remember which way it came out, that's the way to put it back in. That's the way it went. And I'm going to pass that down the back and pop it back into place, and then roll that down. Now it keeps the bees under control, and it allows you to keep the ends of the bars clean. You can clean the bars up without bees being around you and bothering you. Go the other end and do exactly the same thing. Now if we didn't put the cover cloth on, and I don't want to show you because there'll be dead bees, squish bees, awful. So trust me, when you open up a hive normally they will bulge out over the edges, and we don't want that. So we're going to leave it covered. Keeps and contains the bees inside their own space. So when we're ready, are you ready? All you do is flip this off the top, pick this box up and put it straight on, and you'll notice that we didn't squish any bees because there were no bees there to squish. So there you go, put their sugar back on, and we'll put these guys back to bed. Okay, well, we've come to the end of getting started. There are other tapes you might like to look at, volume 1 and volume 2, queen rearing as you get more proficient. But basically we've finished now with getting started. You should be able to manage your hive, and if you continue where we are, you'll get them through the first winter, which is important. Now the other thing I'd really like to talk about just for a few moments before I go is disease. Now new beekeepers, the first thing they do is they start stuffing all sorts of chemistry into their hives, even though there's nothing wrong with bees. And what I'm trying to tell you is it's wrong. You shouldn't do it. It's like you having a 1-year-old in a crib and immediately starting to feed it penicillin in case it gets a cold. It's silly and it's non-productive. It costs a lot of money unnecessarily, and also it does weaken the hive. It doesn't make it any stronger. It weakens the hive by putting terramycin in and fumidil in. That's really not necessary. The only time you really need to medicate is if you have a problem. And so what I would recommend you do is to get some books on bee diseases, and don't start medicating before you find that you've got a problem. If you haven't got a problem, don't medicate. Now there is one nasty that you have to medicate for, and there is no answer to this yet, and that's Varroa. Now Varroa is unfortunately a mite, a vampire mite that lives on the back of the bee that sucks the hemolymph out of the bee. It then moves in as part of its cycle, moves into the brood, and then damages the brood. Eventually, within a year or maybe 2 years, the hive is dead. And the only real cure for that at the moment is a thing called Apistan, and that requires some special treatment. So I would recommend that you either come on our website or get a book out, or join any local beekeeper organization and see if they can help you time the application of Apistan and how to do it, because it's quite a complicated system. But apart from that, my advice is not to medicate unless you've got yourself a problem. If you have got a problem, then quickly do something about it. So there you go, I finished. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something. And if you learn to be a beekeeper rather than a box keeper, then I'm sure you'll enjoy your beekeeping a lot more. Thanks. Bye bye.